Happy Monday endeavour and welcome to chapter 25 of The Fire Thief. Again, I'm going to do this in two extracts because it's quite long. And we rejoin the story in Eden City on the morning of the execution. Well, that looks like it's it, doesn't it? That's how I came to be telling this story. Uncle Edward went to the gallows while I lived. Theus was free to escape. End of story. Happy ending for me. Unhappy ending for my uncle. But life is never that simple. If you were planning to close the book, put out the light and go to sleep, then go ahead. But I have to warn you, you may miss a couple of twists in my tale. The Fury was floating over the earth on its huge wings, letting time hurry by. It could see a stream of blue flashes as human spirits fled from their bodies. From time to time there'd be a war, and the corner of the earth would be awash with blue light. The Avenger shook his head on its crooked neck. Why were those pitiful humans so stupid? Pandora had brought them enough plague and disease to kill them in the millions. Why would they want to help the vengeful gods by killing each other? The Fury would never understand the little hairless beasts. Time sped by and the bright earth turned more drab, even on the sunlit side. The Fury found it hard to see some parts of the land now. Great cities smothered themselves in blankets of smoke. Factory chimneys belched out stinking clouds of stuff, hiding the hovels of the squalid city below. But the smoke didn't hide the blue sparks of death, and those cities glowed as blue as the battlefields. Crushing machines crashed down on workers, then foul and fetid water finished off the widows and the children. The smoke charred children's lungs. Empty plates and emptier bellies sent the weakest wearily into the gutter to splutter out like fading candles. Another blue spark here, 100 more there. One city was more muddied and puddled than the rest. The Fury tried to catch its nostrils as it drifted down through the smutted air to see what misery lay below. In the heart of this smirched city there was one particularly blackened chimney that choked the atmosphere that more than all the rest, and more blue flashes appeared from this particular factory. But this city felt right to the Fury. If this city were a creature, then it would have been the sort of creature that would rip out your liver as soon as look at you. Yes, it was the city that was as vicious and as ugly as a spider, as cruel and as cunning as a cat, but it felt right. The Fury landed on an arch above the factory's gateway and watched as another lifeless human was carried from the building in a faded blanket. There were strange symbols painted on the arch. The Fury couldn't read them, otherwise it would have known that the words spelled out Mucklethrift's machines. A little match girl on the corner looked up at the hideous bird and shuddered. She picked up a clod of mud from the gutter and threw it. The Fury turned its crooked neck and fixed a cruel eye on her. It could almost see the blue flash quivering, ready to be set free. You'll soon be dead, it creaked. It spread its monstrous wings and flapped slowly into the air. If this is what humans did with Prometheus's foolish gift, then he deserves his fate, the bird thought. It rose above the sooty air and went on with its search. It didn't know how close it had come, nor did it see the winged horse flying above it. Zeus sat astride the magical creature and reined it in. Whoa, Pegasus, we don't want the Fury to see us. If it spots us, then it'll follow us straight to my cousin Theus. The god turned the creature's head and flew out to the dark side of the moon to hide for a while. That's how Zeus missed the execution. I wish I could have missed it. The scaffold was high, but I struggled to see. I stood on the coffin we brought from the Storm Inn, but I still wasn't tall enough. There were too many people in the crowd in front of me on the wooden platform. Uncle Edward always loved the high stage and a big audience, I thought sadly. I was stuck behind the fat form of Mr. George Mucklethrift. He stood between his friends, Judge Coote and Mayor Weed. This hanging was a good start to the day for them. The whole mood of the crowd was like some sort of party, a breakfast party. They'd come to see a man die and go home for a coffee. January Storm stood silently by my side. The gentleman writer also stood on the left, stroking his beard. The days of hanging people in public should be long gone, he said. If a man has to die, then let him die with peace and dignity. The three great men of Eden City chatted happily. A great day for Eden City, Mr. Mucklethrift said with a chuckle. You did a good job there, Mayor Tweed, trapping the villainous Edward Slaughter. He's wanted all over the country and he's slipped through the hands everywhere else. I knew he was a fiend as soon as I set eyes on him, Tweed boasted. There is an old saying, give a man enough rope and he will hang himself. Well, I gave him enough time and he betrayed his wicked plans. Mr. Mucklethrift laughed. But he's not going to hang himself, is he? Sergeant's going to do that. Weed giggled. He looked up to the white-haired judge. It would have been good to see the three of them hanging side by side, he sighed. The judge shook his head. The young man was a handsome creature. People don't like to see beauty destroyed. The mob might have turned against us. We wouldn't want that, Mr. Mucklethrift said, suddenly serious. I heard what they did to the Storm Inn last night. We've got to keep them happy with the odd hanging. We don't want to make them angry, though. Oh, no. That's why I let the little boy go free, continued the judge. The mob would have felt pity for his feeble frame dangling there. They're soft in their hearts where children are concerned. Even thieving little devils like that one, Mucklethrift sneered. Trust me, George, the judge said, the boy would be too light to hang. Not like Slaughter, eh? He's as fat as butter, that one, Mayor Weed said. Anyway, you got your valuables back, didn't you? The judge said. Mucklethrift grumbled. Only half of them. The rest must have been hidden away or spent. Mayor Weed shuffled his feet. We all know Endeavour. Who's got those, don't we? I knew where the missing loot had gone, but it was none of my business if friends robbed friends. The fog had lifted a little and the sun was rising like a crimson ball over the river. The sky was flooded with dull red light. It looked stained with the blood of all the humans who died in that cruel city. The crowd fell suddenly silent. Two things had happened. The town hall clock had begun its chime for the dying hour. Ding dong, ding dong. And a gate in the jailhouse wall opened. Join me, Endeavour, for Extract 2.